The first rays of the morning sun stretched across the hills of Ajeromi Kingdom, one of the oldest and wealthiest kingdoms in southwestern Nigeria. The kingdom was famous for its rich traditions, cocoa farms, ancient forests, colorful festivals, and the magnificent royal palace that stood proudly on a hill overlooking the town. For generations, the people believed the palace was protected by the blessings of their ancestors. Every king who ruled Ajeromi was expected to be wise, courageous, and just. The royal drum, known as the Drum of Destiny, was beaten only during coronations, declarations of war, or the passing of a king. On this day, however, the kingdom was alive with celebration. It was the annual Festival of Unity, a tradition where every family gathered to give thanks for peace and prosperity. The streets overflowed with dancers in colorful attire, talking drums echoed from every corner, women carried baskets of fruit and food, and children laughed as they chased one another through the marketplace. No one imagined that before the next sunrise, the kingdom's peace would be shattered forever. Inside the royal palace. High on the hill, the palace buzzed with activity. Palace attendants polished the marble floors. Royal guards stood at attention in bright ceremonial uniforms. Cooks prepared lavish feasts for visiting chiefs and guests from neighboring kingdoms. At the center of it all sat King Adewale II, a respected ruler in his late 60s. He had governed Ajeromi for over 30 years and was admired for his fairness and wisdom. Though he wore a warm smile for his people, those closest to him noticed something troubling. The king seemed unusually tired. As he stood on the palace balcony watching the festivities below, he quietly placed a hand on his chest before straightening himself when footsteps approached. "Your Majesty," announced the palace steward, "the chiefs have arrived." King Adewale nodded. "Let them in." The king had two sons, Prince Akin Adewale. The eldest son was calm, disciplined, and deeply respected by the elders. He believed a ruler should serve the people before himself. Many expected him to inherit the throne. Prince Tunde Adewale, the younger prince, was charming, ambitious, and adored by the younger generation. He dreamed of transforming the kingdom with modern ideas, but often clashed with traditional leaders. Behind his confident smile was a fierce desire to prove he deserved the crown. The rivalry between the brothers had never become open conflict, but everyone in the palace could feel the tension. The king's warning. Inside the royal council chamber, the king addressed his sons. "My children," he began, his voice steady, "a crown is not a prize. It is a burden." He looked first at Akin. Wisdom without compassion becomes pride. Then he turned to Tunde. Ambition without patience becomes destruction. The princes exchanged brief glances but remained silent. The chiefs bowed their heads respectfully. A mysterious visitor. As the festival reached its peak, a hooded elderly woman appeared at the palace gates carrying a carved wooden staff. The guards tried to stop her. "I must see the king," she insisted. "The king is receiving guests," one guard replied. "Come back another day." The woman shook her head. "There may not be another day." Her words unsettled the guards. After some hesitation, they escorted her inside. When King Adewale saw her, his expression changed. He recognized her immediately. She was Mama Ifalola, an elderly woman known throughout the kingdom for her wisdom. Many believe she possessed extraordinary insight into people and events, though she never claimed supernatural powers. The king dismissed everyone except his sons. "What brings you here?" he asked. Mama Ifalola lowered her voice. "My king, danger walks within these walls." The room fell silent. She continued, "The greatest threat to this kingdom is not an army outside the gates. It is someone close enough to share your table." A chill settled over the room. Before anyone could question her further, she bowed and quietly left. The grand banquet. That evening, the palace courtyard glowed with lanterns. Chiefs from across the region gathered for a magnificent feast. Musicians played traditional rhythms while dancers performed before the royal family. The king welcomed his guests with warmth. "For 30 years, he declared, Ajaromi has known peace. May our children protect that peace long after I am gone." The crowd applauded as servants moved among the guests with food and drinks. One attendant paused for a brief moment behind the king's chair. The servant's hand hovered over the king's golden goblet. Then, with a quick glance around, the attendant continued serving as though nothing had happened. No one seemed to notice. A secret conversation. Later that night, after the celebrations ended, King Adewale entered his private study. He unlocked a small wooden chest and removed a sealed letter. On its cover, he wrote, "To be opened only if I die unexpectedly." He placed the letter back into the chest, locked it carefully, and hid the key in a place known only to him. Outside the room, a shadowy figure watched from the darkness. The palace slowly grew quiet. Moonlight bathed the royal grounds. A lone figure moved silently through a hidden corridor toward the king's private chambers. Inside, King Adewale knelt in prayer. He whispered, "May truth protect this kingdom, even if I cannot." A floorboard creaked. The king turned. The chamber door began to open. The figure's face remained hidden. Fade to black. To be continued.